Hello, I hope that you are doing amazing today. And today I'm going to show you my final exam, which is designing a class for teenagers and adults. So let's begin with this activity. And first we have the description of the students. In this case, the class consists of 20 students that are adults aged between 18 and 30 years old, all with an intermediate proficiency level. They attend a language academy and meet online from Monday to Thursday from 9 a.m. to 9:45 a.m. For an English course to focus on integrating the four basic skills, which are speaking, reading, writing, and listening. The topic of this lesson is phrasal verbs in everyday situations, and the class will be taught by me, Diana Esmeralda Vides Diaz, and the structure of the lesson is according to the PPP approach. So next we have the objectives of the lesson, and the general objective of the lesson is that by the end of this lesson, the students will be able to identify, explain, and correctly use at least 5 different phrasal verbs in context, demonstrating their understanding of meaning and usage in everyday situations with an 80% of accuracy of on affirmative assessments. And the specific objectives, the first one, by the end of this lesson, students will be able to correctly use modal verbs plus phrasal verbs to provide advice and solutions, demonstrating their understanding of the grammatical structure and its contextual use with 80% accuracy on affirmative assessment. And lastly, that by the end of the lesson, the students will be able to describe one personal everyday situation using at least 2 different phrasal verbs, demonstrating an understanding of their meanings and the use in context, achieving 80% accuracy on a formative assessment. Next, we have the content of the lesson, and in language functions, we have that they are going to learn how to explain or narrate personal experiences, how to offer suggestions using phrasal verbs, how to accept or reject invitations, etc. And on the other hand, we have language structures, and in this case, the basic structure of phrasal verbs is verb plus adverb or preposition. And we have other structures depending on the type of um, phrasal verb. So then we go to the actual lesson plan, and we start with the warm-up. And in this case, I choose the Wheel of Fortune, and this activity is going to have different uh, questions involving phrasal verbs in everyday situations. For example, what time do you wake up? What does wake up mean? How often do you hang out with your friends? What does hang out mean? Etc. And the teacher should ask the students to participate voluntarily to spin the wheel of fortune and answer the question they land on. And this activity was chosen as a warm-up because um, I think that the students are already on intermediate level, so they should have some phrasal verbs on their vocabulary already. So I think that this activity is going to help them in this lesson. So they are going to recall and they are going to recognize some of the phrasal verbs that are already in their vocabulary. So here we have the link of the activity, and I'm going to show it to you. Here we have the activity. The teacher is going to spin the wheel, and the volunteer is going to answer to the question that they land on. So that's what this activity is about. And in this case, this activity is focused on the skills of reading and speaking and in the technique of gamification. And here we have the presentation part of the lesson. In this part, the teacher is going to show the students the new content, and in this case is phrasal verbs. And the teacher needs to define what phrasal verbs are and the structure of the phrasal verbs in sentences. And as you can see, here we have a lot of examples with visual aids so they can understand easily. And we have the types of phrasal verbs. So the teacher should also explain the three types of phrasal verbs: the separable, the non-separable, and those with two participles. And the teacher should highlight the importance of phrasal verbs in everyday English by showing examples of them and their meanings. So as you can see, this is what we have here. A lot of examples. So after teaching them the different types of phrasal verbs, in this lesson or in this part of the lesson, I think that I used the techniques of explicit instruction and contextualization. And after that, we have the first activity of the presentation part. So the teacher will show this short dialogue. It's going to play the audio, and the teacher needs to ask the students to listen carefully to the pronunciation in the audio and how the characters in the dialogue are using the phrasal verbs in the conversation. And after that, the teacher will ask two pairs of students to participate voluntarily to read the conversation and act out the characters in the dialogue. And if the teacher hears any error in the pronunciation, they should take notes and repeat the mispronounced words after the participations. And in this case, the techniques that were used are the auditory and visual learning, and the skills are reading, listening, and speaking. And we go to the practice part of the lesson. And in this case, the teacher will create a multiple choice practice test where the students will complete sentences related to everyday situations by filling in the missing phrasal verb. And the teacher is going to share the link with them. As you can see here, we have the link, and I'm going to show to you the activity. So as you can see, these are sentences that are incomplete, and they should um, search for the best phrasal verb to complete the sentence. So this is what they are going to do in this case. And lastly, the skill that this activity was focused on was the reading skill, and the techniques used were individual practice and feedback. And after that, we go to the second activity, and in this case, the teacher will open the breakout rooms in Microsoft Teams, and the class will be divided into groups of three, which means there will be 5 rooms, and the teacher will assign to each group a different scenario, such as the ones that you can see on the screen. And after that, they will have to create a sentence with their group offering advice on how to solve the problem or situation that the teacher gave to them. And after the time is over, one of the students will share the advice they came up with the whole class. And in this case, the techniques that were used were group work and the scenario-based learning, and the skills were reading, listening, speaking, and writing. Then we go to the production part of the lesson. And in this case, they are going to play the open the box game. And in this game, the teacher is going to prepare prompts, and the teacher will ask the students in alphabetical order to choose a number from the game, and they will need to answer based on the prompt they land on. and they have to use at least 2 phrasal verbs that they just learned, and the teacher should encourage the students to ask follow-up questions for each interaction. And I'm going to show you the activity. As you can see here, we have the game. The students are going to choose a number, and as you can see, it has a prompt. For example, share a moment when you came across something surprising, like a lost item or interesting place, and the student has to answer with 2 phrasal verbs. So that's the activity. In this activity, the skills are speaking and reading, and the techniques used were game-based learning. After that, we have the last part of the lesson, the wrap up. And in this case, the teacher will use this time to provide constructive feedback on the use of phrasal verbs during the production stage, and encourage the students to ask any questions they might have. And if there's no corrections to make or questions to answer, then the teacher should make a recap of the phrasal verbs and meanings with this short activity, which is a match-up game where they are going to match each phrasal verb with its meaning. And I'm going to show you this activity right now. As you can see, it's a normal matching up game where they have to match up the phrasal verb with its meaning. In this case, the skills are speaking and reading, and the techniques are constructive feedback, review, and reinforcement. And now I'm going to show you my contingency plans. In this case, I prepared different scenarios that could happen during the class. And the first one is in case of technical difficulties, such as platform or internet issues. And I think that in this case, the best I can do is to share the Canva presentation with the students beforehand. And as you can see, I attached the links in the presentation. So in that case, they can enter to the activities by themselves. After that, we have the students are shy or hesitant to participate. In this case, I think that if they are hesitant to talk, they can be encouraged to write their answers in the chat. And the students struggling with phrasal verbs, so I think that the best the teacher can do in this case is to have uh, a list of phrasal verbs with visual aids so that the students can understand better the meanings and how they are used in everyday situations. And another solution is to provide the students with an additional source of information, such as a physical or online dictionary or translator. And then we have time management issues. And if the teacher notices that time is running out of activities and taking longer than expected, it is recommendable that the teacher prioritized the core parts of the lesson. And in other cases, maybe it's better to shorten the activities, asking just for volunteers and not all the students to participate. And then we have mixed proficiency levels. And if this happens, it's good that we pair stronger students with those who need more support during these activities. Now I'm going to show you and explain to you the approaches and methods that I used. The first one is the task-based learning. And as you can see, in every stage of the PPP approach, I used at least one task for the students to do. And with this task-based learning, they will be able to improve the new knowledge and practice it in an interactive way while using real scenarios too. And I use the COT method. And the lesson encouraged the students, as you can see, to talk and express their feelings and opinions. The lesson is explicitly in the target language. And on the other hand, the lesson encourages group work and task based in real life scenarios. And lastly, it integrates the four basic skills: reading, listening, speaking, and writing. So this was everything I had prepared today. Thank you very much for your time and thank you for watching.